Hey gamers, what's going on? Welcome to a different kind of video. Now, I was considering doing a review on Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and then discuss about the 2003 series that I'm watching. But as time was going on, I wanted to talk about other stuff, so I figured why do individual videos when I could just do one podcast style video. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing moving forward. Now, will this be weekly, bi-monthly, monthly? I don't know. We'll see how it fares, and I'll just judge about how I feel like doing it. Right. So let's just get right into it. Uh, Man, I hate. I always mock DSB about having little segments and this and that. I kind of don't want to do that for this podcast. I kind of want to make it feel more organic, I guess. So I'll see. I'll try to make this more organic as possible, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to to make a podcast feel organic when it's just one guy, but we'll see what happens. Always try new things. Correct? Am I right? But man. So yeah, I finished watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and man, uh, I gotta say, I liked it more than I thought I was going to initially. I thought I either was gonna think it was all right, or think it was average, or maybe dislike it. I don't know, but I ended up liking it a little bit more than I thought. I liked the world building that it does, and I like that you saw different locations, except for the east, the city of I I can't remember. Is it Shang? I don't know, but wherever oh my god, I'm spacing on character names. I want to say Shaoling, but Mei Mei. I don't know. I feel like I'm making up names at this point, but but you know what I'm talking about. We haven't seen that kingdom at all, and I kind of wish we did. We only saw the north where it's snow. We saw central, and we saw uh Ishval. That's the three places we went to. We didn't go anywhere else. But other than that, uh it was solid. I liked the little breadcrumb of the storytelling. I didn't realize that they did a lot of foreshadowing in the show. I never really, because I guess I never saw it in order. I would just catch it whenever it would be on Adult Swim. So I never really thought much about it, but they had a lot of instances where they kept dropping little flashes of what happened in the episode Dwarf in the Flask, which was my favorite episode. I still love that episode, even watching it now. And I gotta say, I ended up liking the villain way more than I did initially. I just thought it was just about, oh, he just wants knowledge. That's all this guy wants. But it was a little bit more than that, and I kind of enjoyed, just seeing that play out. So I liked it overall. The only stuff that kind of stood out to me that I kind of feel is dumb was there's an episode where Ed decides that he's gonna go inside Pride or whatever, and he turns himself into a Philosopher's Stone. Now, they never really explain what that means, or why, or how. It's just Ed turned himself into a Philosopher's Stone, and we never talk about that ever again. That never comes into play afterwards. I don't know what that is. Maybe I didn't pay attention. I don't know. This was during when I was I believe I was still babysitting my brother's cat, so maybe the cats were distracting me, but I don't recall them ever explaining what that was, and it just seemed out of nowhere. Uh, and I also had an issue that the ending had good moments in it, but a lot of it was just let's make everyone have a happy ending. Everyone gets a happy ending, and it just seemed like the symbolic weight of what happened is being removed by doing that. For example, uh Mustang loses his sight. Now, sure, you could argue, well, he transmuted against his will, so he should get his eyesight back. But I still think that the symbolic weight of him being blind and him wanting to make a better uh civilization and rule better, I think that's enough. That is a good symbolic gesture to have him be blind. to literally like symbolize justice, whatever. But what ends up happening is Marco shows up, is like, "Hey, I got a philosopher's stone that we made from Ishvalans, and I can use it to bring your eyesight back." And then they're like, "Oh, well, before you do that, let's bring this other guy's legs back." And it's like, and I'm thinking there is a little bit of like a problem I feel with that, because the stone was made by like awful unethical experiments, and I kind of feel what should have happened was they should have taken the stone to Ishval and have the Ishvalans decide what to do with the stone, instead of like, hey, let's just give Mustang his eyesight back and this guy his legs back with the stone. Like, I get the gesture and all that, but I just feel like it would have gotten a little bit further if it was like, hey, we gave it to the Ishvalans, and then they decided that it's okay to use it for these reasons or whatever. But instead, it just, at least from what I remember of it, it's not like that Dr. Marco just made that decision on his own, and it's like, you're not gonna return the stone to Ishval. Like, that's kind of like, that's kind of fucked up if you ask me. Uh, and there was like other stuff in the ending. I can't remember all of it at this point, but it. Well, then there's that thing with Pride, where, oh, there's this kid, and they keep an eye on him because we want to make sure that he doesn't like grow up to be evil or whatever the fuck. And I get that, but again, like, it's just this quest of everyone gets a happy ending. It's like, I don't think we need that. It needed that. The ending was fine as is. Like, it kind of felt like the final or second to final, whatever final chapter of Demon Slayer, where they did this like flash forward into a modern day story where you see all the characters from Demon Slayer doing like mundane jobs and all this, and it's not that the chapter to me like ruined Demon Slayer, but it just felt like just a fanfic. Like, oh, look at uh Mitsuri's in a bakery with the other guy, and it's like, okay. I mean, the ending was fine. We did not need this part of the ending, and that's what this kind of felt like in Brotherhood. It just felt like a little bit more like, oh, we have to end it like this because it's happy, and everyone deserves a happy ending. It's like, well, I think it would be interesting to have it end symbolically, or that Mustang could easily just say, no thanks. I'm not interested in using the stone to restore my eyes. Return the stone to Ishval and have them decide what to do with it. Whatever. But whatever. It still ends on a happy note, and it's like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. I like the ending in regards to Ed and Al, where they both decide to find other answers or an other option to alchemy, and I think that was an interesting like idea. So overall, it's a solid show. I think it was a fun anime. I know it wanted to be more in line with the manga than the 2003 series, and I think it does fine. The animation is good. The fight scenes were good. The only other option I had was I did not like the final form of the main villain. I understand why or what they were going for by giving him like this like angelic body, but I kind of liked the body before where it was this creepy like monolithic form that had eyes in random places and a giant mouth. Like, I thought that was far more intimidating than what he ended up being. Uh but it was still like, whatever. It's still a cool fight scene. I just like that other version more than this like clean angelic form. But I get it. But it's like, I'm not a fan of that. Uh and I think that's all I could think of. I mean, they killed a lot of my favorite characters, which I didn't like. They killed Lust. She was the goated character, but whatever. I mean, I wish Olivier Armstrong did more, but whatever, right? She was a cool character that just got benched, kind of technically. Otherwise, it was still a fun show. I still enjoyed watching it. If you're asking me what I'd rate it, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10 because it was still pretty solid all the way through. Uh, Now let's talk about the 2003 Full Metal Alchemist, because that's another one I started watching, and man, I did not even remember the intro. I did not know it had that weird song where it almost sounded like like a Sentai kind of show. Like, oh, I was expecting mechs or whatever, like Gridman or something, but it's like, no, it's just Full Metal Alchemist or whatever. But what I think is interesting about the 2003 series, because it was decided to make that more of its own thing than just retelling the manga, so that was interesting on its own. But the way it's structured, man, I don't know how I feel about it, because I remember liking it more when I was first watching it, back when back when it was airing. But watching it now, it's so weird. Like, I really am more conflicted now watching it than what I remember, because there's some of that, like, okay, I remember the first episode, they go to this church and they find out that the father is a fraud and all this other shit, like. But I did not remember the horror aspect of it. Like, I really loved that he took what's her name, Rose, and they're like, oh yeah, your boyfriend, he's back. I brought him back to life. He's in this room, and then it's like this gigantic bird monster, and I was like, sure. Now when you look at it, it's like not that creepy, because obviously they couldn't like go all out back then, but it was creepy enough. It's like, holy shit, like, you're just seeing all these like dead feathers, these dead birds, all just this amalgamation of a monster, and I like that aspect of it. It's like, okay, there's some spooky shit going on. So I kind of liked that it was more about this creepy aspect of alchemy than just the science of it. And I think that's the one thing that kept me thinking about the two shows. Brotherhood, I think, was more focused on like the science of alchemy and like, oh, what does it mean? And it is a little bit more magic on the magic side, but like, it can be applied scientifically and this and that. This, sure, it does like talk about alchemy as a science, but it also kind of focuses on it as like a power, or more magic, and more of like a like just magic, like Necronomicon bullshit, than, oh, it's a science and this and that. Like, it does have science aspects to it, but I think it also leans more to the horror aspects of it, because right after the church episode, they go right to this, oh, like a ghost story, and then you realize, oh, this is going on. So it has this like, oh, each week is a different episode, and you don't know what you're gonna get, but there's still this small little overarching story. And I think it kind of, it was I don't know, I would call it a response, but it's kind of like Cowboy Bebop in that way, where it's like, hey, yeah, there's an overarching plot, but the majority of it, or the beginning of it, you're just gonna be seeing these like week to week stories that, at a glance don't look connected, but then when you actually like step back, they're kind of all connected in a way. So I think it's interesting in how it's telling its story. But the one thing I will say, when it got to the Nina episode, I have to say I think Brotherhood handled it better. Because the way Brotherhood did it, it was more minimalistic in a way that it's far more disturbing. Where, you're more less suspicious of the father being a monster, until like you see what he made before. Like, oh, the first chimera was like a talking one. Okay, but so what happened to your wife? And then you start to slowly build the pieces when you see the current chimera. So I liked how it did it in Brotherhood more, where it felt more natural, and it was a little bit more like unnerving. In the 2003, it was just like, I know what they were going for, but it really just felt, I don't know how to describe it. It just felt too much. Like, there was a scene where Ed wanted to walk the dog, and then he just happened to see in a room that the drawing that Nina made was like burned, and then he was like, okay, now I must investigate what happened to his wife. What happened to his wife? And it's like, I thought that was a weird like logic to go down. So I don't know how I felt about that. It just felt like that it was trying too hard to get Ed to be on that suspicious path. so I don't know. It just felt too like convenient that that he would think that way through that. I don't know, whatever. But then when he actually confronts him, you go down to the basement, and you see all these other like trapped monsters, and it was a little too cartoonish. Like, oh, he had all these monsters down here, of course, because he's a monster, and it just kind of like I was watching it, it just cheapened the reveal, like it because by that point you're already saying, yeah, this guy turned Nina into a chimera. Yeah, that's what happened. Like you're already ahead of what they're revealing, so you're just watching it and you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, fuck this guy. But and I mean, I think when you first watch it, it's like, damn, like it does hit you, especially when this was airing. But Brotherhood, I think, just does it way better. It just made you really sit with that and seeing what happened. So I liked it a little more in Brotherhood. And this is like a very like um like popular episode. Like everyone like talks, like you don't really have to watch Full Metal Alchemist. If you know anything about anime, you know about the fucking Nina Chimera. So it's interesting how different it is, and how less like creepy it was. Like when I even watched Brotherhood, knowing about the Nina thing, it was just like, oh wow, damn, that's fucked up. This, it's like, okay, like I feel that in 2003 the shock of it is great, but then when you go back to it, it's just more like, okay, like it doesn't have the same impact versus Brotherhood, where yeah, you can watch it multiple times. I think that would have more of a, like, it may not have a super impact, but you'll still feel something uh than the 2003 one. And I wouldn't say it's awful. Like, it's not like, oh, they ruined the scene, but it just kind of like it just seems a little bit more silly when you think about it more. So I didn't care for that as much as I did when I first watched it in the 2003 series. The other thing about it, it was like a two-parter too, or a three-parter, because they kind of built that up, which I like that idea more, because I think in Brotherhood it was only one episode that ended there. So it's like, so you could argue about the pacing of it, because you at least spent more time with Nina and the dog to feel something. But it was spent doing like a tournament style like exam that was not very fun to watch. Like, you saw these alchemists that were just fodder. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. Oh wow, he made a tree. Oh, yippee! Like, it was just kind of goofy. As compared to Brotherhood, it was actually like it actually felt like an actual exam. This just seemed kind of like it just felt more generic. Like, it's so weird to me watching the 2003 series, and it's like there's stuff I do think is actually genuinely interesting. Like, I do think that the setup and the weekly episodes that tell a standalone story that built to a grander arc is an interesting idea. Uh, Meanwhile, you watch Brotherhood, and it's like, yeah, this is an overarching plot, so everything feeds into each other. But this at least was trying to do something a little bit different. Because right after that, you had an episode about a serial killer, butcher, can't remember his name. He was like he became like a suit of armor in Brotherhood. Billy the Butcher, whatever. They made him a villain in an episode, and it was like a decent episode. It had this like aura about it. Like, it was interesting. It was interesting for an anime to kind of feel like that. But it also kind of felt like I want to say Law and Order, but I also want to say CSI almost, where it's gonna sound really lame, I guess, but it felt kind of corny, uh, in a way. And I wouldn't say it's a bad thing that was corny, because it kind of like added to the style to it. Like, that's the one thing about this 2003 series. It feels very, very like old. Like, it feels its age. Like, it definitely feels like it's dated, and it's not even in a bad way. It's not like, oh, it's dated because they have all this like weird stuff in it. It's more dated in the sense of like it definitely wanted to go for a style with its storytelling that was like kind of going around with anime, because I feel like a lot of it is just how anime was distributed at the time. So I feel that's probably why they made a lot of the episodes seem like they could stand alone. so that you can always catch it and know what's going on. Like you don't need to watch episode 1 to understand what's happening in episode 10. And by the time you get to the finale, you're probably gonna have a good idea of what's going on. So it's interesting. I'm still going through it, but I thought this show was like 20 episodes or something. It's like 50. I did not remember it being that long, so I don't know what's gonna happen. And I do remember they don't go to the north. We don't see Olivia Armstrong at all. So it's like, where are we going? Like, are we really gonna go between Central and Ishval? Because I think they do go to Ishval at some point. But I will say, I will still double down on, I like Scar's design in Brotherhood way more than the 2003 series. Like, he looks so generic in the 2003 series. Like, it's just, I couldn't care about this character. In Brotherhood, he looks a lot more intimidating and interesting. But I do like Rose more in this series than in Brotherhood. As I said in the previous video, that it seems very cursed to look at Rose in Brotherhood when you've seen this series. It's just cursed. It's like, this looks wrong. So, there you go. There you have it. But it's an interesting show nonetheless. I'm curious to see where it's going to go and what else, because I don't remember at all the main villain. Like, there's little pieces that are coming back to me about it, though. Like, I do remember there is, like, one character that was, like, the son of their mentor that's a homunculus. And I remember being annoyed with this fucking character, because I think a lot of it was just, like, I got annoyed when it's like, yeah, this thing is not their actual, like, thing that they claim they are or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but this thing's doing fucked up shit. Just come on, like, let's move on. Why are you like, let's get in the way? I mean, now I feel like I'm gonna have a different response to that, because it's like, obviously, sympathy and all that, and all those feelings. So it's like, I guess I'll get it now. Maybe I'll have a different opinion now than when I was watching when I was younger, where I wasn't really thinking a lot about these things. But I just remember that's the only thing I remember. And I remember this weird, like, robot. I have said this before, but that's like the one thing that stood out to me. I just remember this one robot, and I don't know if there was like a meme, a Terminator meme, or people were saying, yeah, people think the 2003 series was good. They had a fucking Terminator, dude. Like, a little far-fetched, isn't it? But it's like, well, this is a show about alchemy. Like, you're doing like random shit in this. Why wouldn't there be a Terminator, I guess? But I'll see what happens when I get to these episodes. So that's how I feel about this old series right now. It's so weird, and it really just comes to show just how different anime is now than it was back then. Back then, it was just like, it felt very weird, because especially like, I feel a lot of the time they just put all this money in this anime, and they're like, we have to keep putting out episodes. So if you caught up to the manga, we have to do filler. We have to do filler episodes, which is Bleach. And now this is probably why a lot of people want Bleach to get a remake, because they want just a more streamlined series and not just have a series that are plagued with filler episodes, which I understand. When I was watching Bleach, I have to say, I was getting a little bit infuriated with, because I was going to this one website that was listing like episodes that are canon, semi-canon, filler. And the semi-canon episodes were pissing me off, because these were episodes that had some like important stuff, but it was tied to stuff that was boring and irrelevant. Like, there was one episode I was watching, and they were talking about the Bount arc, or whatever the fuck the arc was right before it. I was like, why does this matter? This isn't gonna affect the main story, because I understand now that about the manga and all this stuff, like, this means nothing. Like, what's going on here? So I do think that, I don't know. The thing is, I said about the Fullmetal Alchemist thing, if they do remake Bleach, I do feel that will lead to a lot of streaming services to decide, hey, they're remaking it, we don't need to keep the original. And I think, that's a slippery slope, because I thought that's what happened with Brotherhood. Once Brotherhood came out, I feel no service felt any obligation to host the original series, and that's a shame, because unfortunately I found the Blu-ray that's for my region, a very decent price. It wasn't like exorbitant, but the problem is this fucking case is shitty. Like now when I open it, like the thing that was holding the middle discs pretty much like disconnect. It's like a loose sleeve now, and I can't close the case fully, and this case has two covers. I I hate these kind of covers now. This case awakened me to this bullshit case design. So on the sleeve is Edward Elric. Okay, he is the main character. All right, I get it. You remove the sleeve. The inner case is Alphonse. I get why it's like that, but guess what? It feels awkward to be like, well, this sleeve is a pain to like take off and put back on, and especially now that the case can't close properly, it's more of a pain. And it's like, I wish I could throw out the sleeve. I wish I could, but since it's so different, it's gonna bug me because I like, you know. So I really despise. I despise sleeves. Despise them. Like I'm so glad that at least now with some Blu-rays they don't do that shit anymore, because that is pissing me off. It's like I want to throw it out, but it's like it's too different to really do that. So I fucking hate it. I fucking despise this fucking Blu-ray case. And I understand a lot of people don't like streaming services and all this stuff, but as I said before, I am okay with dealing with streaming services if there's a way to buy the fucking show or movie. Like, I would have at least bought the 2003 Full Metal Alchemist if it was, like, available to own digitally. At least. But no, you can't, because they probably thought at the time streaming is forever and we never have to do anything with this. We don't need to have it offered to be purchasable, and then it got slept on. So whatever. So I'm stuck with this Blu-ray with a fucked up case. So whatever. These cases are bullshit. So that's how I feel about, like, you go to these animes back then. I feel like it's filled with that kind of stuff, and especially with the voice acting. Now, of course, a lot of the voice actors in the 2003 Full Metal have reprised their roles in the Brotherhood anime. So a lot of them, but a lot of them sound so young. It is so kind of goofy. Uh, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, watch sub, dubs are bad, whatever." But I kind of appreciate a good corny dub sometimes. You know, I've watched Tenchi Universe dubbed, Tenchi Muyo dubbed, and there's a level of charm of just the corny performances. Like, I understand that it may take away from the actual seriousness of it, but sometimes it adds to it, to be honest. But, you know, as I said about with anything, experience however you want to experience something. There's no wrong way to experience something unless it's something I like, right? But anyways, that's how I feel about Full Metal. I think it's a solid show so far. I'm curious to see how it's gonna end. Especially with these 50 episodes. I can't believe it's that long. Because I remember renting this on Netflix a lot. I remember I would need to get the disc and just watch it sometimes, but whatever. We'll see how I end it, because right now I thought I was gonna enjoy a lot of these episodes, and a lot of them I felt a little bit more critical of. Like that Nina episode, I felt like I was watching it and I was like, man, I'm way more critical about this episode than I thought I would be, because I thought I would have loved, like, when I saw that the basement with these captured monsters. I did think, oh, I would have liked this. I would have thought would have a Resident Evil vibe to it, but I thought it was way too over the top. And I think what it is in Brotherhood, it really shows just how, like, of a quiet family they are, and you wouldn't think much of it. With this, it's like, okay, like, especially by the time you get to that basement, you're already thinking, yeah, this guy's fucked up. Oh man, okay, yes, he has monsters. Oh yeah, he is fucked up. Like, it does take away a lot of the suspense, but I don't know. It's interesting, I guess. But speaking of anime, I have watched two animes. Well, I guess technically three. Two are weekly, and one all the episodes are up. one of them I have no, I don't much to say, which is Lazarus. It's good. It's I think this was the anime that had Watanabe, who did Cowboy Bebop. I think he did this anime with the guy who did John Wick, the director or something. So that could be interesting. I think this is the one that they were talking about, because I remember years ago there was like news of this collaboration. I was like, oh, I wonder what happened with that. So I think that's what Lazarus is, and it's interesting so far. I like the music. A lot of the music reminded me of Cowboy Bebop, so I'm into it. I can't wait to see the rest of it. But it is a funny side note. HBO has two animated shows that are really like, one of them I think is phenomenal. It's Common Side Effects. This is done by Mike Judge, so it's like, the guy who did King of the Hill. It is so good. It is such an interesting show, but it is so funny to me that HBO Adult Swim is having two shows that are based around pharmaceuticals. Like, Common Side Effects is about like, hey, they found a drug that cures everything. What if Big Pharma got involved? What about the big conspiracy about, hey, they would not uh publish a cure to any of these diseases like cancer or anything, because it would not be profitable. But what if, so that's covering that aspect of it. Lazarus is like, well, what if you get a vaccine or a drug? I think here's they said it was like a painkiller. You take the drug, and then in 7 years, the guy who made the drug says, guess what? It's now poison. 30 days, you're all gonna die, and there's no cure. And they try to find a cure to it for these 30 days. So it's so interesting that two shows are like these interesting takes on on healthcare. So it's curious to see where it's gonna go with this. But I just find it funny that it's like, in this year, this current climate, we have two shows that are like talking about healthcare. So it's curious. I'm curious to see where this is gonna go. But they're both really good. But I also saw the Guilty Gear Dual Rulers anime, and it is only subbed, so I am watching anime subbed, guys. You can't see I'm a filthy dubber anymore. But I've been watching that. It is good. I'm not a huge fan of 3D anime. But this is pretty solid. It's a pretty solid animation. I wish it was 2D, but it's solid. It's better than what I was expecting. But but it is like 3D animation, so it is what it is. I have to say, I am surprised. I'm really impressed that they were able to really consolidate all of Guilty Gear's nonsensical lore into like one episode to get you into the story. Like, they just drop you in, and it's like Wind Waker, the best Zelda game, where they just show you like these like what's it called, like it's like glass. I can't remember, mosaics, whatever, of like what happened about the Crusades. What are gears? Kai meeting Dizzy for the first time, the second time, the third time, and all this stuff, and they explain the entire lore decently. For anyone that has never like really paid attention to Guilty Gear lore, it's fucking crazy and like insane. So this is a good job. Now this is like after Strive to a point, because I think there's also lore in Strive that's after the main story, but whatever. So it's after that, but you don't really need to play the Strive story mode, as far as I'm to understand it, to get what's going on either. The only thing you need to know is really what happened with Soul Bad Guy, but that's also kind of like, do you really need to know what happened to him by that point? Who knows? But it's still a solid anime. I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. The only things, there were some parts that just didn't land with me. Like, it starts off like after they summarize everything, like Sin and Soul going after a bear, and that whole sequence was just kind of like, I don't know how this really lands. But other than that, I do like the setup of like where it was going, the introduction of Unica, the new character. So I'm curious to see where this is all gonna like pay off and how many episodes it's gonna be. I don't know, but whatever. We'll see where it lands. But I like that it has all my favorite characters in it. Jacko was there for a bit. Dizzy was there for a bit. They even do a thing that they did in Guilty Gear Overture, where they just freeze them up. They're like, okay, yeah, we're not gonna have Dizzy in Overture. Just she's here. Okay, she's locked away. They put them in a nice block. So we'll see what happens with that, right? But It's still overall an interesting story. It's I'm kind of going in with the expectation that I don't think the story is going to be everything I love about Guilty Gear story. Like, Guilty Gear has a lot of stuff going on that I love, so I don't know if this is going to hit all those notes. But it is interesting at the very least. I think it's probably one of my favorite video game adaptations so far. I do want to say so far it's like up there. Will it top Cyberpunk Edge Runners? I don't know, but we'll see. Uh, the other video game anime I've watched is everyone's favorite, the Devil May Cry Netflix anime. Oh man, this I was dreading. There was one tweet I saw like leading up to this that summarized the discourse that's going on, where people would just mischaracterize Dante, and it has happened. I saw one post where one guy was like saying that the writing was like cheesy, stupid, whatever, and so I was like, oh, it sounds just like the games. And I was like, no, wrong, just wrong. I mean, look, I'm not gonna say Devil May Cry was some Shakespearean story masterpiece that was intellectual or smart, and it wasn't corny or anything. Devil May Cry is a very corny anime. Oh my god, it is a very corny video game, and the plot is not very like important. Like a lot of the plot's dumb, but it's endearing. It has a lot of heart into it. Like, and I've also seen on the other side of the fence people saying that is acting as if Devil May Cry never criticized humanity. Oh, it makes demons all evil, and that's the point. And in the anime, they make it they see that what if the humans were bad? But that was part of Devil May Cry, like especially with 3, 4, and well, maybe not 5. Because 5 was more about Virgil, honestly, but with 3 and 4 specifically, 1 I didn't get that far, and I don't really know much about 1 that much. I all I remember is that he goes to this one island, and like Trish led him there to fight Mundus, whatever. So that's its own story as well. Like 3 and 4 are the only ones that I'm citing with this like thesis on humanity and all that kind of stuff. Especially like just put into perspective, this anime is meant to be like not a prequel, because I think this is its own story. I don't think it has anything to do with the games. So this is like the origin of this franchise for an anime. And it just so yeah, when people say like, oh, it's not supposed to criticize humanity, the demons are the bad guys. But like if you play 3 and 4, they kind of highlight the fact that humans fucked with devil shit. Like they fucked around and they did fucked up shit. Like that's the whole point of Lady's character in 3. And in 4, there's a whole church that worships Sparta, but they also wanted to turn people into demons and open hell. So I don't think it's out of line or out of character for Devil May Cry to criticize human cruelty. But at the same time, it also like criticizes demons as well. Like it goes both ways. So when people are like discussing that, I was like, I mean that's kind of part of Devil May Cry as well. So this isn't like ludicrous. The part that the anime kind of falls off for me is just kind of like it really is just like I saw this article with a headline saying that they made a commentary on the war on terror, and look, I'm not gonna like I don't. There can be very political stories, like Metal Gear Solid, like all this stuff. Like, so I'm not saying, oh no politics, man. Like, but this is like the definition of like forcing politics into something. I don't think Devil May Cry is the franchise to do a commentary on the war on terror. Metal Gear is more in line for that than fucking Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry, like, the only criticism it does is just the heart. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, in Devil May Cry 3, Lady feels like is unapologetically against all demons and tries to kill Dante because he's a demon. He has demon blood. But she finds out that there are some demons that may cry. That prejudice she had against demons may not be true. But at the same time, humans have done cruel things, act like fucking Arkham. But that's as far as it goes. I don't think we need this to jump on the war on terror. Like it just seems way too far to the point where it's like corny in all the bad ways. It's not corny in an endearing, like silly way. It's like, I mean, there's a scene where they played American Idiot as they're bombing hell, and it's like I get that they're probably going for that joke of like, it's so obvious it's funny, guys, but it's like that's not what makes it endearing, you know. And it just seems forced, and it's hard to take it as a joke when there's episodes that try to make you more empathetic about the demons in the first place. They have demon refugees, whatever, and there's nothing wrong with having demons be empathetic to humans or whatever. I don't have anything wrong with that decision, but they made these demons have very humanoid designs, and I just think that's kind of lame. And someone argued me on Twitter about this. Well, in the story, they said that, like, you know, they evolved alongside humans. Humans and demons share the same ancestor, so there you go. And the ones that look more demonic are the evil monster ones. But it's like, they're demons. I don't give a fuck where they're about their ancestors. They evolved different enough. Why? Like, they could have designed these demons in many different ways. To just kneecap yourself and to be like, well, they gotta look human. It's just lazy. Like, that to me was really disappointing. Play Devil May Cry 3. All the demons, the low-level demons, the fucking fodder you fight look way cooler, and they die in 2 hits. But they're cool looking, and they couldn't even, like, use those designs. And the other thing that drove me up the wall is just the haphazard throwing around demons from the games. Like, they had the plant boss from Devil May Cry 4, they had a few bosses from Devil May Cry 5, and it's like, these are such boring characters to use. Like, you don't use them in unique ways. It's just, they're there and they're following orders. Like, they even took the rabbit demon, whatever, from the manga of Devil May Cry 3. Now, I never really finished the manga, to be fair, so I don't know the extent that they used the Alice in Wonderland aspect in that, because I know the manga also goes on different tirades from the game, but I've not heard anyone say that was bad. But this, it just is so different. But the biggest crime, this, I rolled my eyes the hardest, and I will never forgive Addie Shanky, whatever, Sankar, whatever the fuck his dumbass name is. What he did to Lady is a crime, but, like, just a crime. He should be thrown in jail for this. Lady was such a cool character, and this show, like, it went out of its way to just butcher everything that I liked about her. It was like, yeah, Lady's cool. Yeah, not anymore. Fuck her. And it's like, what are we doing here? So, first off, there's an episode that's a flashback of hers, and this is the only praise you'll ever get from me about this dog shit anime. It had a cool style. It had a cool animation style. That is pretty much the only episode that felt like, okay, this is kind of cool. However, the artistic idea of a episode that had, like, little to no dialogue is completely wasted. Completely wasted on this dog shit series. But it was a cool animation style, right? But they showed her to, like, go to Darkcom. Oh god, I fucking hate that name. I never said that name out loud. They just said, like, okay, like, alright. I say Darkcom. Oh, terrible. But as she's, like, going to the building to, like, join up, they show her, like, casual outfit, whatever, that look cool. But guess what? No, she can't wear that. They gotta put her into, like, a Marvel fucking power suit. Dog shit. When they first have her show up, they have a scene where, like, she's trying to prove to this guy that, like, she's badass, or that she found out that he's a demon or whatever. They have, like, fucking rockets in their shoes. That pissed me off. Like, first off, Devil May Cry 3 had such a cool style, a cool aesthetic to it. Like, it had this, like, old-ass phone, whatever. Now, I understand, again, this isn't, like, a one-to-one adaptation. And, look, I understand. There could be changes. I have a video reviewing Castlevania Nocturne. Now, I gave, like, I think having the French Revolution be, like, the backbone to that, I thought was a interesting idea. I mean, you could think however you want about that. I don't blame anyone for thinking that was dumb, but I at least thought, okay, that at least I can understand. Like, I understand the idea. There's no reason because there's already enough in Devil May Cry that you could just make a good anime on. Like, there's enough stuff there to do what they did here. It's like, did you even play the games? Like, it really just seems like that this person was just operating on Devil May Cry is cool, okay, yeah, big red coat, big sword, okay, and we got this. But they put Lady in a power suit, garbage, just trash. Honestly, worst redesign. The only thing I could say about Lady that I liked about in this anime, besides that episode that looked cool, was I liked her hairstyle in this. And it was kind of cool to see, like, you know, her facial expressions, how those were drawn, whatever. But that is it. Everything else is dog shit. The origin story, terrible. When they first did it, I will say I almost thought they were gonna do Batman with her. Like, oh, a demon killed her mom and dad. And I was like, oh god, are they gonna do that? No, let her dad be an asshole. Let her dad suck ass. But then they didn't do that. And then they still fumbled the ball. They still found a way. Because then there's like, okay, well, now he wants to prove demons exist. So he goes on in this obsessive, like, research to figure it out. He then, like, turns himself into a demon, then kills his wife. Someone told me on Twitter, and I think it's true because I vaguely remember this, but in the games, they said that Lady's mom was sacrificed. Like, Arkham sacrificed his wife to get demon powers, whatever. And I was like, that is way more fucked up and, like, cool to think about. And it affects everything. And, you know, Lady shares the same, like, eye thing as her dad, so that's also, like, a level of fucked up and all this other stuff. And the thing is, the whole fucking reason why she's called Lady, this was eating at me every time, the whole episode, every fucking time, when they were like, hi, Mary, and she's like, oh, hi, you know, whatever, and then, like, Donnie was just saying Lady, just for no reason, just Lady, and it's like, I was like, oh, God. I was just like, you know when you're, like, mad, and you're just like, but you don't want to, like, fucking yell, and you're just like, just steaming. I was steaming the whole time. And then you get to the end of the episode, the last episode, where he says, Lady and Don, whatever the fuck. And she's, my name's Mary. And I was like, dude, the whole point why she's called that is, sure, you know, that's what Dante called her in Devil May Cry 3. To be fair, like, the delivery of him calling her Lady is somewhat the same, basically the same. But the reason is she never used her real name. She never introduced herself. She never used it because she hated the name, because that's the name her father gave her. So she was trying to distance herself from her fucking father. That's the whole point of it. To then just say, well, he calls her Lady because, like, you know, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about that kind of shit, man. It's just like, it really is just, you only it's like you paid attention to half the story of Devil May Cry 3 and then just thought the rest of it was not worth listening to, almost. Like, the amount of character assassination they did to Lady, it really is like someone there hated her. Someone in that show hated her. And the thing that pisses me off, this is the thing that people were already saying before this thing fucking released, and it pissed me off even more because it you know, if it was just directed to Dante, I can at least kind of, like, roll my eyes and move about my day. Like, that's whatever. People have been getting Dante's character wrong for years. I can ignore that. but it has now extended to fucking Lady now. And this is just what made me hate the show so much more. Someone was like, "Well, Lady's just a hot chick. She never really is a thing that people cared about. She was just there for like fan service." Now I can understand that if all you played was Devil May Cry 4. 4 and 5 did a little bit more with Lady, to be fair, but not enough. I would argue they could have done way better with Trish and Lady in 5. They kind of just made them jobbers. It was just kind of but in 4 it was cartoonishly dumb. Literally Lady more so than Trish. Trish at least had a role in the story. Lady just shows up for like 2 cutscenes. And it's just pure fan service. It was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, she's just wearing a jacket, her boobs are out. So I can understand people thinking that Lady is a fan service character if they only played 4. That's the only thing I can understand. But when people bring up Devil May Cry 3 and have that same takeaway, it's like, did you just like bash your head into the wall as you were playing the game? Like, how do you miss the entire story and character arc of Lady in 3 is beyond me. It's just insane. So when I see people say like that about Lady, it's just disgusting. And to say that they did her better in the anime, it is a crime. It's a crime. I can go on I can make a whole essay as to how Lady is garbage in the fucking anime. They made her a fucking government suit. She would never do that. Like, I know it sounds very silly to say she would never do that, but literally she wouldn't do that. She would never do anything that this anime would have had her do. It made no sense to me. Why the fuck would you go to Darkcom in the first place? It made no sense. No sense. It's so stupid. It's so brain dead. The 2007 anime of Devil May Cry is way better, infinitely better. Like the stuff when they had Lady meet Trish was cool, where she didn't know that Trish was like, on their side, and this like it was rad. It was so cool, and all this other shit. Like that anime had only 2 issues. 2 issues. One, it was too short. I wish it was longer because a lot of the plot got rushed. It was like only 5-6 episodes. Not long. Not like a good length. Secondly, the final fight with the main boss, it just kind of like petered out, and it just really felt like at that point they're like, yeah, we don't have any money, so just don't animate him becoming a devil trigger. Just don't do that. So that was like the only downside, but it had cool fight scenes. It had way better fight scenes than this Netflix slop. And this is the other thing. This is the studio that brought you like the fucking Castlevania anime, which had whips. They animate whips. I would think that animating whips is insanely hard. Like infinitely harder than animating sword fighting. I'm just gonna say, I just think when you're trying to animate a whip, like whipping, whatever, it would be way harder. They were able to do that in the fucking Castlevania series, but in Devil May Cry, they had this weird aversion of using swords. I can't remember a lot of like him ever using a sword. You could easily gaslight me into thinking all he did was use his guns, because all I remember is it really is like maybe they played Devil May Cry 2. And honestly, that could be true. I've never seen Devil May Cry 5, anything else for that matter, ever reference Devil May Cry 2. Like, Lucia might as well never exist, because nothing references her. I watched this anime. This is the only modern Devil May Cry media that literally has Lucia and the main villain of Devil May Cry 2. I'm starting to be convinced that all Adi Shankar did in his research of Devil May Cry was play 2 and know that 5 was cool. Because all of the soundtrack uses 2 songs from Devil May Cry 5 and 1 from 3, which is the credits theme, and the rest of the soundtrack, it's just random songs. Like I can allow Limp Bizkit, I guess. I mean that the intro is kind of like it's kind of whatever, but they played Last Resort in a chase. I don't why they played. I mean, as if they played American Idiot. Like it just a lot of these songs seem more. It's like they were more invested in trying to recapture the early 2000s than the actual game. It really is like it's the anime. It's like the 9/11 anime. Like it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. All these decisions, and it really like and look. I went in. I try to go in this. I don't like going in stuff like wanting to hate on it and just like shitting on it. Like I do want to at least give stuff like a chance. But this, like, it just went out of its way to really just not get the homework. It just didn't get it. Like, I can't believe just the stuff they did with Lady Alone it's just awful. Episode 2, the first moment I saw, I was like, oh god, they ruined her. And nowhere in the show did they ever make an effort for me to eat my words. Not once. I have seen a lot of other stuff that I disliked, gave it a chance, and I ended up loving it afterwards. This anime could not even do that. It couldn't even do that. Like I found more things to say positive about Castlevania Nocturne, which everyone hates, than this. I can't even bring myself to even go on to say another good thing about it. Like it's just awful, and I can't believe like I can. The only thing I can understand why other people may like it, but it's just I just the thing is, if other people like this show, I'm not gonna like rain on their parade and say that they shouldn't like it or whatever. People can like this show all they want. The thing I'm more annoyed with is when people argue that the games were equivalent to this, or that the games are worse and the anime fixes the problems. Like I can only accept that if you're only talking about two and honestly maybe even four. Four is not a good game. I don't love four, but there's aspects of four I do kind of like, but it has a lot of issues. So I can't really bring myself to say like if two didn't exist, four would be the worst Devil May Cry game. I'll put it that way. Because two is definitely bad. I played two. I played it, so don't tell me, oh Theo, you never played two. I played it. I played that fucking game. Terrible game. But so it is the worst one. Honestly, it's just fundamentally the worst Devil May Cry game. But if you played 2 and 4, I can understand why you may like this anime. Because if you played 3, even just 3 alone, you can't say it's better. You 3 is the best. 3 is the best in the franchise. One is good, but it's like its own. One is in a league of its own almost because it's so different from the later games. But three is solid. Five is pretty good, but 5 also has a lot of issues as well. Uh, it's just weird that a lot of the uses are shared. But this is another thing. But I can't believe that this anime came out, and I'm seeing people just say, yeah, that's Devil May Cry. It's like no, it fucking isn't. So I can't wrap my mind. I'm just so mad at Lady. And oh, dude, you know what else? You know what else about this fucking dog shit anime? It has Kevin Conroy in it. Like I was watching this and I was he plays the vice president and I was like, this sounds like Kevin Conroy. It can't be. There's no way. Why would he be here? There's no way. It can't be. I checked it out and it's like, yeah, this is Kevin Conroy. I was like, and his character is so like I think they try to go for a uh an Armstrong moment. They wanted their own Senator Armstrong. You can't make that character again. That character is a one and done deal. You can't make that character again. You just factually can't. And it was just that because every time I was like, he always has to mention, oh well, the Lord has a plan for us. Dante, don't you think that the Lord has a plan for you? That's why you're not dead yet, Dante. And I was just like, man, I get it, but this isn't even like funny. It's just it's just funny in a different way. It's funny just like how dumb it is. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with the criticism of like humanity and all this other stuff, but this is just such a jarring turn. Like, I just don't get why. So I really, on a good day, it would be this anime. I would probably maybe say a 5 out of 10, but I would go as low as like a 3 or maybe a 4. But it's still bad. I can't believe they had a waste of talent, and then also the oh my god, I forgot about the president, which I think is you're supposed to forget about him because they literally say he's a figurehead. The president just doesn't even like the voice they gave him does not fit the character. Like it just doesn't, and it's just like you couldn't do anything else. Like, at this point, they should have just gone with a Donald Trump type. Like just do that. Just do that. Why not? But it's just they go with this, and it's just like, oh, he's a figurehead. That's why he looks this way. That's why he wears a cowboy hat that looks too small on him, and he has a silly voice because he's literally not meant to be taken seriously. Like it was just like I don't give a fuck. And then Virgil, whatever. Like the whole thing is just a whatever anime. Honestly, I just can't. I just can't really believe that anyone would say this is equivalent to the games, or that or better, or that it fixes the problems that the games had. Like, come on, come on, come on. Oh man. So there you go. There's the Devil May Cry review. Everyone's been itching to know. But yeah, it's bad. Don't watch it. I mean, I will say, unless you like watching dumb slop, I mean, there is kind of an enjoyment out of it when you know it's slop, and it's like, yeah, this is slop, and you see the sloppiness of that it is. Like, there is that with it. Like, it's because I can't say it's like, oh, it's not even so bad it's good thing, or that it's just boring bad. It's like, like at least I got a reaction out of it, like, which is more than what I could say about like Castlevania Nocturne, or the last two seasons of Castlevania. Like, this, at least I had something to say. Like I guess what it is, there is a level of like something funny about how much it got wrong. Like, it really is like you're watching someone just step on every single rake. Like, it's like that joke where Sideshow Bob is like in a whole series of rakes and he keeps hitting himself. It's literally that. And that's like the only thing that was kind of getting me to watch the whole thing. Was like, well, first of all, I do want to have like a full opinion. I don't want to like just either cut it off or just write it off or just shit on it without watching it. I do want to at least watch it. I don't give a fuck if it's like, oh, it's gonna give clicks for this. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I fully accept that it's gonna get a second season. I don't care. But I did kind of like enjoy just watching how far it got wrong. Like, as much as it pissed me off what they did to Lady, it's just, it kind of made me laugh. Just, not only did the show get it wrong, but it exposed so many people who just can't comprehend her character at all. They played Devil May Cry 3, and they really cannot even comprehend that story, which is so fucking simple. Again, Devil May Cry is not Nostradamus level storytelling. It's not hard to follow. It's stupid, but you do get, at least you understand motivations of characters. Like, that's it. That's why it has a reputation. It's like it's very like stupid. And this anime is like, it's not like stupid in that way. It's just stupid in what the decisions they made. Again, why was it this game specifically was the game that they're like, this will be about the war on terror? This, like, you could have picked any other game to make that commentary, and you chose the wrong one. Like, and again, it's funny because people like bring up like how in Castlevania they didn't really like that they criticized the church, which, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that, but they could have done that in this, and that would have also made sense. Because guess what? Arkham was a priest. That's why he wore the clothes that he wore. So like it adds more to it. Like it really is like they just wanted to make sure they got everything wrong and say lol. Like so that's where it is for me. It kind of comes back around and just how stupidly wrong this is, but it's still infuriating. Like it's the shit they did to Lady is bad, and someone brought up, and I didn't think about this. They didn't give her scar. She has a face scar that goes like across her face. They erased it, scar erasure, and I'm just sitting there thinking, they're gonna show why she got that scar. They're going to, and I guarantee it's gonna be something stupid. It's probably gonna be is, oh, she's gonna turn on Darkham, and when she does, that's when she'll get the scar, or some dumb shit like that. I just know. There's gonna be something stupid coming to get that scar. It's gonna be so dumb, and it like that's what they're gonna decide to do. They're gonna decide to do that. It's gonna be like when people are wondering what happened to not Nick Cage, Nick Fury, Nick Fury's eye and why he has an eye patch, and I don't remember what it is because the movie that they showed what happened, I fell asleep during. By the way, I was on an airplane watching it. The best thing about airplanes is you gotta watch stupid movies because you're not going anywhere. Like, what are you gonna do? So you may as well watch dumb movies. I put on that movie. I went straight to sleep. I could not make it like past 30 minutes. And I woke up and it was the credits. I was like, what happened? What was this movie? I don't care. I didn't care to watch it again. But everyone was saying that like it was like some cat that fucked up his eye. And everyone's saying this is the dumbest thing. And I'm like, okay, it's probably gonna be that. It'll be that level. Because like, I'm sorry, this drive for origin everything, show the origin of everything. Fuck off. Like, it's really like, instead of like showing the origin of Batman, you show the origin of like Bruce Wayne. You have to see how when Thomas Wayne met Martha Wayne, and before they got married, then they fucked, then you have to see that, then you got to see the origin story, then you watch why they were going to the movies. What made Bruce Wayne love that show that he was watching, or to go to the theater, right? Why did he love that theater so much? We gotta show the origin of that too. So it's gonna be garbage, but we gotta show origins of everything. This is the most corporate slop anime I have seen, because to some degree I could kind of argue the Konami like probably wanted to have some interest in Castlevania, and they wanted an anime to kind of get people to like watch it. So I do feel like that at least had some kind of like idea behind it. But it is the most like corporate slop I have seen, and I do feel like this is the textbook example of them just wanting to piss people off to get people to talk about it. I don't know why they want that at all. Like, again, it's not even like political in the clown ways. It's just literally, hey, let's take the war on terror and make that into the story. Why? They had annoying vice president character, and now they're gonna have to recast him, unfortunately, because Kevin Kilmer passed away. But why did they have him? I don't know. He did the same voice and it was the same like. It was just kind of like not even good. Like it almost just seemed like they were just like, Tevin, do Batman. Just do that voice and that's it. But do a little bit more silly. It was that like, really. So this, but I have to say, I feel so bad for Kevin Conroy. He passed away, and the things that people like heard his voice in, at least from like. But I know is out there. I don't know if there's anything else that they released. Was that Suicide Squad game and this. To have that be what comes out after you pass away, that is just. Oh, that is. Oh man, that's something else. That is something else. But I would at least argue Suicide Squad. I would kind of feel Kevin Conroy at least wanted to do it. Like he at least wanted to be there. Uh, this I don't. I just think he was just there just to be there. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing there. It was really like he just found his way into the recording booth and was just like, oh, okay, like I don't think it would be a. I don't think it's gonna be a passion project as Batman was for him. So man, I can't believe I talked this long about it, but I just love Devil May Cry, and seeing this anime just really made me want to talk about how dog shit it is, and just what they did to Lady. I can't get over it. I can't get over the character assassination of Lady. It really feels mean spirited. It really feels like they wanted to just really just remove all of the interesting aspects of Lady and made her so generic. Someone posted, okay, so who's the character that's gonna be the fuck you character or whatever? And it was Lady. It was Lady, and that's not her. She's such a cool character, and they ruined her. Like it's such a net negative for Lady. Like she can't catch a break at all. Like I can't believe they ruined such a good character. They took out like they could like the thing is, if anything, they could have delved more into Lady. Like there's so much they could have done, and they chose the most basic single note thing you could think of is just like, why, man? Why do this? Like from the demon designs to this, it's just so bad. And let's talk about the devil trigger form of fucking Dante for a hot minute. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's dumb. Like, why make it this way? Why do it this way? And the way he even starts doing it is bad. Like, you watch uh Devil May Cry 3, the way he starts getting it is literally Virgil stabbed him with Rebellion. And then in 5 he literally says, well, if Virgil stabbed me with the Rebellion the first time caused me to go Devil Trigger, second time must be something very kooky. And he did it again, and then he got the like Sin Devil Trigger. Like that's fucking metal and stupid and cool. This it was really just like no, he did it. There you have it. He was falling from a plane and he decided he could do it. And then like he never really used it at all after that in any meaningful capacity. And then like they remove the cool aspect of him using ebony and ivory to use generic future guns. It really is. Like they just hated all the stuff that was actually cool and went piece by piece to dismantle it. Let's neuter the demon designs for a bit. Only let the real bad ones look at least kind of cool, or just copy paste the game designs. Okay, do that. Uh let's make all let's make Lady join a military company or whatever the fuck, Darkcom, and have her just not be interesting at all, and just have her be a fuck you character, uh, and let's just have her just be a bootlicker. She literally does everything. The government like literally the vice president tells her to her face, oh, basically, collateral damage. Like literally doesn't give a fuck, and she's like, well, you know what? I'm still gonna do what he says. Like nowhere at all does she think at all, and it's like she is the most independent individual you could have. Like she's a very strongly written character, and it's like let's just make her a yes man until something happens in season 2. Then she's gonna wake up. But it's like, why do this? It is beyond me, and I hate the quips that they have with Dante and then Enzo. Enzo is such a generic idea. Like at least in Devil May Cry 5, it's like, okay, it's Robin, like is Robinson, whatever, and it's like an old dude, like a cool guy, and then like all this stuff. Here it's like, yeah, let's get this sleazy guy, and I'm sure I think maybe the manga had that too, and maybe like whatever, but still, you didn't have to double down on that. I mean, Devil May Cry 5 literally gave you a character that you could kind of base something off. But whatever. Uh, there's just so much to like kind of criticize, and I don't level. Let's say some might be nitpicky, but I'm not gonna budge on Lady. I like that. That is definitely terrible, and that is stupid. Like you can't convince me that what they did to Lady was better. If you didn't like the Lady in Devil May Cry 3 at all, you can't and try to convince me what they did in the Netflix anime was any better. You just can't convince me. It's so disgusting. And then to see people defend that, come on, come on. And then just the clips that Dante like. So they had the voice actor of Nero voiced Dante. Now I think like I want to say John Young Bosch. He's a good voice actor. He's talented, and I think he could have pulled off Dante. I think with the right script, but honestly, all I heard was Nero. He just seemed more like Nero than Dante. Uh, and but it's just this aspect of Dante just didn't work out. There's a line where the main villain like tells Dante that his brother is still alive or whatever, and he says, "I gotta keep living for my brother." Now, of course, Dante loves his brother. He loves his family, obviously, but the dynamic between them is very, very complicated. Like even in 3, it's a very complicated relationship. Uh, to the point where I don't think that he'd ever say, "I gotta live on for my brother." Like I don't think he'd hate him. Like it's not like, "Oh fuck Virgil," but I don't think he'd be like that. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it to be fair, but it's just that line felt wrong for him to say, to be honest. But man, it's just, so I'm not looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with Virgil, because the last line in the anime was him saying, "I am the storm," and then it plays "Bury the Light" for the credits in that episode. But man, it is just so devastating. They ruined everything that made Devil May Cry like unique. This seemed more of a Marvel story and a Marvel property than something that Devil May Cry made. Like I just don't get it. And everyone hates Zaddy Shankar too, and I see why. I can't say that this dude makes good shows. Like I can argue that the first 2 seasons of Castlevania was good, but the quality definitely fell off a cliff in the last 2 seasons, and then Nocturne, it just stayed that level. And the fact that season 2 is probably like the fact the only thing I could say that's nice about Nocturne is just that I like the idea that it was during the French Revolution is not like an accomplishment. Like that's not really a good thing. It's very very like you'd hope that they could use that setting to their advantage, but it had other problems along the way. And season 2 was also awful too. So it's like there's nothing there that worked for it. And now it seems that Devil May Cry is even worse. So it's like this quality is just not improving. I think that'll be it for this episode. I don't know what I'm gonna call this little podcast. Uh, Maybe I'll just call it the Talks a Lot. I don't know. I'll think of something. But thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time on the Flip Flop. And bye.